Hey, what's up, everybody? Here we are, Fatboy Fadeaway Podcast. We're here to do another draft. It'll be me and Tyler McGurk tonight. We're going to do the 02 draft, 2002 NBA draft. Tyler, what's going on? Ready to do this?
I'm doing good. Your brother still has the runs?
I think he must be doing it. Case, we miss you out there, big man. Gotta join us. You're the audience giver. Come on, big man. Come on out. We need you. No, 02 draft. It was kind of a funny draft for me because I was thinking about this the year I graduated high school. So going into my senior year, I remember this draft kind of being a big deal because of Yao Ming, and I had a few friends that were, let's say, there were a few friends that liked Yao Ming, let's say, and so they were big fans of Yao coming out of the draft, and so I remember they were telling me about him for a couple of years. They're like, "Yeah, we got this 7'6" guy coming out of China." And I was like, oh, all right. So and eventually he came out and he was a big deal. And sure enough, I was like, who is this guy? Because back then the media wasn't as like a big a deal. So it wasn't like you knew this guy was coming for like 3 years.
I thought he was a big stiff.
Yeah, he kind of looked like it a little bit. So I don't know. To me, I kind of consider this 02 draft, looking back at it, pretty much the Amare YAO draft here, looking back at it. I mean, that's probably who me and you are going to be
There's not much
debating back, and then we'll kind of be running through some mediocre players, not some all-star players, but, borderline, mediocre after maybe the top six a little bit. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Yao and Amare, though, because Amare initially, he's the guy I think was the better player, right? Because, I don't know, you just kind of think of him making it more Western Conference Finals and him being kind of a little bit more impactful. But
played a little longer.
Yeah, he played a little bit longer too. He also has suffered from some injury issues, but I don't know, the Yao factor. Like it'd be interesting to see if he was pretty good though for those few years. But I think at the end of the day, I think me and you both probably feel we both were probably gonna have the same number one player.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Yao at his best might have been a little better than Amare at his. But I don't know. It's hard to. But Yao was pretty dominant down on that block, and he hit free throws abnormally well for –
He was a massive human being, though.
He was just huge. And he had nice moves and some good footwork. He got pretty good at I thought they were going to beat the Lakers if we didn't get hurt that playoff series with our test.
All right, this is a separate question, but I want to ask you real quick before we get to the draft. What do you think McGrady was affected I feel like McGrady was affected very poorly with Yao Ming. Just because of how slow they had to play quite a bit. That I felt like he could have probably benefited a little bit more from Yao's pace a little bit differently.
I mean, it couldn't help him because he was an uber athletic freak.
But for a player like Yao to have a player like McGrady, obviously, was a big deal. I feel like with the Rockets, too, with Yao Ming, looking back at him, I feel like a lot of their issue was they were never – I felt like we're healthy in the playoffs. Or even when they did make the playoffs, somebody would get hurt during their run. And they never could kind of complete. You know what I mean? It never felt like they got a full run together. As like even just one season together is like kind of a complete team just to see how far they could have stretched it. The other thing I take away from this 02 draft is because we are Warriors fans, and the Warriors had the third pick in this draft and they had a very good chance of getting the number one pick, and because of like the Chinese population here and the Asian population here in San Francisco. The Warriors getting the number one pick was a big deal. You know what I mean? Yao Ming. And so I remember that being like kind of a big deal at the time there. Then when they didn't get him, the heartbreak, and it was like, Houston, come on. Houston, out of all the teams to get it just feels like Houston always got the number one pick there, with the Olajuwon.
Whenever there was a big man.
A Sampson, and then Yao Ming.
Akeem.
It's kind of funny to think about how different the Warriors franchise would have been with a Yao Ming, but oh my gosh, he would have been he'd be so popular to this day if he was drafted by the Warriors. It wouldn't even matter if he played 4 seasons.
Do you remember the Jeremy Lin insanity when he played like 10 games for the Warriors?
I know. It would be insane to this day, just how crazy it was. They definitely
wasn't even good on the Warriors either, Jeremy Lin, and he still see his jerseys every once in a while. I'm like, I didn't even know they made these things.
I know. It's crazy how crazy Warriors could afford that. So, to me, that's always another factor with this 02 draft, especially being a Warriors fan. Where Yao Ming so close to being a Golden State Warrior.
We got a stud in Mike Dunleavy.
Well, I think one of us might draft him in this draft. All right, you want to get to him, my man?
Okay, take him. What's your most memorable Mike Dunleavy moment? When he ripped his shirt off?
Was that against the Mavericks when he got ejected there?
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like it was the Mavericks
He
and he got
finally
ejected.
lost it. I was like, thank God.
I feel like me and you texted each other that night and said, like, even back then in 02, we had the little flip phones. We texted each other and was like, we're very proud of him that night. For,
Yeah,
like,
at least he showed some passion.
Showing some balls a little bit. Just a little emotion, a little love for
He
the
wasn't
game a little bit.
He wasn't
Yeah,
everyone's ugly stepchild getting beat on every day.
it's funny because
For one night.
You think about it, he probably was like a really hard worker and stuff like that too. You know, thinking about it, but like just in the NBA, it never clicked. It seemed like when he was in the Warriors.
Yeah, well, I mean, that never clicked. Even in Indiana, he put up some decent years. He just
he just didn't have that. All right, should we get to this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna give you the number one pick, my friend. All right, so you have at it. Who you got?
I'll take Amare.
Yeah, why don't you tell me a little bit why?
Was one of the best pick and pop players in the NBA for his time, which is the underrated thing about him. And then
he had
his
a pretty good elbow jumper, huh?
Yeah, it was even from like as long as he's inside the 3-point line and probably going in. And then his dunking was with Steve Nash. It was the perfect pairing. So I mean, he did have that advantage.
Yeah, let's give the real reason why he's the best. Is that his dunking was insane. I mean, it really was.
It was Blake Griffin before Blake Griffin. It was a little more ferocious than Blake Griffin too, like the way he attacked the rim.
You think he's a Hall of Famer?
No.
And that's the thing is, like, I think if he was healthy those years in New York, he probably would have got in with just a little bit more stats. And
I mean, he has
that.
like 8 All-Stars and like
he's 8 All-Stars. He has 1,500 points. I mean, I don't know. The thing I remember about him the most is just like he was a ferocious rim attacker. I mean,
I just remember his rookie year going, "Who the hell is this guy?" And why wasn't he picked so? Like, I guess 9's not like super low, but why did he go so late?
Yeah, I remember.
This guy is unreal.
I remember listening to KBR. Rick Barry was still doing KBR at that time, and he was like, remember he wanted to be coach for a while. Remember that? Yeah. And after they passed on him for Dunleavy, he's like, I said they should have drafted and started him. He was like, that's why I just remember him like being so mad about it like at the time. So yeah, I mean, he put up 13 points his rookie year, then 20, 26, 20, 25, 21, 23, 25. And then
he had a 26 to 20 drop?
Huh?
He went from 26 to 20?
Well, he went from 26 to 8, but that was the year he got hurt and only played 3 games in Phoenix. And then he came back in 06, 07 and
still kind of
made 20 points. So, yeah, he came back and then played even better in 07, 08. So, and
what was his first year on the Knicks?
That was 10, 11.
What did he put out?
25 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists, basically.
He was never a great defensive
And he was an all-star that year.
Oh, he was in the MVP.
No, he finished in the
MVP
that
first year in the Knicks.
Yeah, I think he was in the top. He was a 5-time All-NBA, 6-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, 2002, 2003 Rookie of the Year. I mean, 18 points career-wise. And like I said,
he won Rookie of the Year, averaging 13 points.
You know what I'm going to say him to, Tyler? This is going to be a good call on my part. I think you're going to actually agree. He would be, in the 90s, how there was Sean Kemp, he would be the 2000s version of him, I feel like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I feel like that's a good comp for him in terms of just kind of getting forgotten about, but he'll have some unreal dunks looking back at it.
Oh, God. He was like watching the Monstars in Space Jam.
Yeah. But he also, to give him some credit here on this before we move on to the second pick, he did have some obvious skill. Like you said, he could shoot elbow jumpers. He had some touch around the basket.
Yeah. He wasn't just –
No, he was a good player for sure. And, it was a shame they just couldn't get to the finals, those teams, just to get recognized for what they were.
Those Suns teams were fun.
For sure. All right, well, I'm going to go with the second pick here. I'm going to go with
Carlos Boozer. Good pick.
No, we're not going to go with the Booze man. We're going to go with who we talked about. We're going to go with Big YAO here. We got the big man. So we're going to have a battle of Amare versus YAO. Yeah, we've talked him a little bit. Short future, short career, only 8 years. His feet, obviously, for a big man, we kind of already knew it was going to happen, right, when he entered the league.
You're 7'6". It's tough to keep those feet in check.
But if you think about it, I mean, He did have a season where he went 25 points, then 22 the next year. So he had good,
Yeah, I was a beast. What was his free
had-
throw percentage? 82%? 80.
for career wise, it was 83%.
Yeah.
He just shot unreal. He just he made the All-Star team every
Another guy who could shoot
every year.
like jumpers.
Shoot jumpers. He probably would be even shooting more threes, right? If he was drafted now.
Oh yeah, he would have figured it out.
Because he had good touch, so he would have figured that out. And it probably would have helped him possibly because he wouldn't have had to run so far down to the hoop.
Pullman Bowls.
Well, I don't know. Like it just seemed like that probably was that was the whole reason he couldn't play forever, right? He just
What does blocks look like per game?
Yeah, at the end of his career, he was 2 per game, so not a great shot blocker for his size.
Not bad.
Definitely not bad. No, he was definitely.
What was his career high? Like, what was his peak of?
2. He had 3 seasons
he never
of
got
2. No, he had 3 seasons of 2 per year. So, good years. High of his season was 25. So, Yao Ming, I'm gonna go with him as a second pick. So, I think all right, good battle of the big man. I think you're.
So who would he go to now? Who was the second pick that year?
So let's set that. So for the
the Bulls.
Yeah. So for the first pick, Stoudemire would have gone to the Rockets.
Houston.
Yao Ming would have gone to the Bulls, and now Tyler, you're picking for the Golden State Warriors.
Oh man, I guess I'll take. I don't want Boozer. He probably has the most accomplished career, but
I didn't have him number 3 either. Just to let you know.
I'll take Caron Butler.
All right, that's who I had too.
Another guy who you actually told me about, you're like, I can't believe the Warriors passed on this guy for Dunleavy. And I was actually kind of sold on Dunleavy in college because he killed Arizona in the finals. And he just never – I felt like he just never missed in college. He was huge. He could shoot. Obviously, he wasn't fleet. But Caron Butler just was – he had a pretty good rookie year, and he just was a better
when you said
player.
when you said that, I called it. And let's go back to that for a second. You do remember me actually saying that? That's pretty good memory on your part. I just felt like in college, I think the thing that stood out to me with him over Dunleavy was like the thing I look for is like just a little bit more like dog sometimes in players, and just felt like he had a little bit more of that in him. And I think over his career, that kind of played out a little bit more.
Well, he lived a much tougher life than Dunleavy, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I think that kind of played out in some of his careers, and maybe and I don't think it's not like, and I think also Caron Butler going to Miami was obviously a good fit. Event, Yeah, eventually playing with Wade the next year, and
Miami's always a good fit for everybody.
But he was only in Miami for 2 years, so then he ended up getting traded to the Lakers.
Yeah, the Lakers.
But his really big years were with Washington.
Yeah,
those are the years I remember
Gilbert
him the most.
And Antoine.
Yeah, he was a really solid player, a really underrated player. I thought when he went to the Clippers too, it was going to make kind of a bigger deal too, but he just couldn't stay.
Yeah, he kind of fell off.
Kind of fell off a little bit there too. So, all right, Caron Butler.
He didn't do very good on the Lakers either. He kind of
he
regressed a little bit.
Yeah, only 15 points. Always a solid free throw shooter, 84%. That kind of surprised me a little bit.
I didn't know he shot that well.
Yeah, that was a little surprising. Career high in points was with Washington, 2 years, 20 points, just to kind of give our audience a little heads up on what he did there. So, finished with Sacramento. I do remember that going to our first game with my sister. A little shout out there, Amanda. Happy birthday, by the way.
Was that at Arco or the new arena?
Huh?
The big 3-0 Cub.
Yeah, big 3-0 Cub. We gotta give that out to Cub. Cub really partied it up this weekend. No, just kidding, Cub. Just kidding, Cub. Just kidding.
Wow.
Just kidding out there. No. I remember going to that game with her out there. We usually try to go out there for our anniversary, and I remember Caron Butler riding pine on the Sacramento Kings in 2015.
How the mighty have fallen.
So I remember that too. So a little shout out there to Caron Butler and to my sister out there, by the way. So, all right. So you go Caron Butler, third pick. That's who I would go with as well. Well, I think number 4 is an obvious pick here at this point, though. Just none of our favorite players, but I'm gonna go with Carlos Boozer. He had a really good career if you look at it. Like he got drafted by second round.
He had a great career.
think about where he got drafted, second round, playing with Duke and championship teams too, with that Jay Williams, Dunleavy team. He was kind of looked as the third wheel there, but it turned out to be the best pro out of them all. I always thought that was the funniest part of them all.
Yeah.
I think the part that's underrated about him, I think people kind of give him a little slack for it though, is like when he was at his best, like he really was actually a really good offensive rebounder, and like at his time, and he would, you know what I mean, like he really could focus on like that part of his game, and I feel like, and he had good post moves around the basket, and then the other thing about his game too, at that point, is he was a good like elbow shooter. But the thing with him, I want to bring up with him, Tyler, I have it down, is could he play in this era? He feels like the type of player that might be kind of phased out a little bit.
No, I think he could play. I mean, he's better than Carl Landry, and I mean, he was playing for the Warriors. I don't think he'd be like an all-star in this era. No,
I just don't know if his touch.
I mean, I don't think he's putting up the same numbers. Playing in Utah was the perfect system for him.
Yeah, with Kerr and Darren Williams there, and Karolinko. Yeah,
and then you have Jerry Sloan and all the movement and just getting layups.
I remember that kind of being a killer for the Cavs, though, because remember, like they came
to like a verbal agreement.
Yeah, and I just remember like thinking like, and then he turned out to be good, and it's like, man, that would have really helped him. Yeah. Like, that would have really helped him a lot. Instead of rolling Drew Gooden out there.
Yeah, he had great painted on hair.
That was also, I mean, come on, man, who does that? Who does that? You can't put that much fake hair on, dude. If you haven't looked at Carlos Boozer's fake hair, please YouTube it. It's just, it literally looks like he pulled
one of a kind.
One of a kind. All right, I'm gonna go, Tyler. Who you got? So far I got YAO and Boozer. You got Butler and Amare. I'm definitely bigger on my side of it, but we're not going by position here. We're going by talent. We're going to top 14 picks here, by the way, just to let everybody know, since Casey's not here with us tonight. Take
the Brazilian Nene Hilario, his last name, if you were wondering at home. He had some good years in Denver. I mean, he was
not just good years; he was really good on Denver.
Yeah, I mean, his early years.
I mean, he was the starting center on the team that almost made it to the finals. He was pretty good there, I thought.
But, yeah, I mean, he was. I mean, he wasn't like – he might have made – did he make one All-Star, maybe two? Maybe
I mean, he played 17 years in the league. He didn't make any All-Star teams, but I always felt like he was a solid player on those teams. Like, when did they got to the – I think they got to the Western Conference Finals there in, like, what, 08, 09? Was that when they did, I think? He was averaging 14 points a game, 7 rebounds. I don't know. I always thought he was I always thought he was like one of those players that was like if you were good. If you were a really good team, you would want him on your team. That's kind of what what I thought he was. So, they went to Washington for a little bit and still played pretty well over there.
I forgot he played with Gortat in Washington.
He was on Washington when he went to Washington when he was 29. He played there until he was 33. So he ended up playing there and had some good years there. So
that Paul Pierce's last good hurrah was
there. No, he was good there. I think he was good there.
Punch.
No, I think I remember the other thing about Nene I remember too is like he got hurt early on. He got hurt early in his career. I think I want to say about that third year, and he had to come back from some knee injuries, and he got
beat up.
He got beat up, and he had to battle some injuries early on. And then he finally started to get healthy when Denver got Billups and started to get better.
He never had that Boozer build where he looked cut up, but he had some surprising athleticism. At times, I remember.
Nene? Oh yeah. No, he was good. I remember him being pretty good. And then what did he end up with? Houston? Yeah, he ended up with Houston. Too, and I remember him playing a little bit in the finals there too. I mean, Houston was even playing him a little bit there.
They were never in the finals.
No, not in the finals, but in the Western Conference Finals is what I meant.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with the 6th pick here. I'm gonna go with Tayshaun Prince. I had him as my 5th overall player, so I get him as the 6th. So I'll be all right with that. Great defensive player. I felt like long arms. I mean, the thing I remember him for the most is the play against Reggie Miller.
Oh, yeah, great block.
That was the play I remember.
Second best block I've ever seen.
Is that play right? I feel like that's one of those plays that's like if we ever did an underrated segment, that would have to go in one of the more underrated plays of all time. You know what I mean? One you kind of forget about a little bit. It's just one you just definitely
Unreal.
forget about there for sure.
LeBron kind of overtakes it and like doesn't get remembered anymore.
I know, you kind of forget about it, but he was a really good player. And I wouldn't say he was a great shooter, but he was very capable. He definitely made you forget about the Carmelo Anthony Darko pick a little bit there.
I don't know if you forget about it, but it hurt it a little.
It definitely made it feel a little bit better because they won that championship and he had such a big part of it for sure. So I think it would definitely get much more crap if they didn't win it all. So, all right, who you got in the next one?
I'll take. I guess I'll take Luis Scola, another big guy, another South American. I just remember always having him on my fantasy team and he'd average 12 points, 8 rebounds, probably blocked 3 shots a year for a big guy who was a terrible shot blocker. But he took more charges probably than 90% of the league. And he could hit the mid-range jumper with his little funny flip shot.
He had a sneaky good post game too.
Yeah, he was very crafty.
He had those he would have those little jump hook kind of little off his shoulder little things. Yeah, he was a good player. And he would always do his hair.
Stereotypical for
his Argentina headband. He did do that as well. He was actually drafted by the Spurs.
Oh, Spurs come in. Not surprised. Maybe Ginobili gave him a tip.
Tip over there. The other thing about Luis Scola too is the thing I kind of wanted to point about him is that he was the thing I liked about him is how competitive he was. I think part of the reason was he was the 56 overall pick out of 58. So he was probably a little bit highly motivated to do it. But I mean, he had a good year. He had 1 year on the Rockets where he averaged 18 points a game. So, we're not talking about any scrub.
I didn't know he averaged that many ever.
Yeah. But, so we're not talking about any scrub here that played in the NBA. Yeah. So he had a couple of years where he went. So his first few years, just to give you, it was 10, 12, 16, 18, 15, 12. And kind of had a little drop off when he went to Indiana.
He wasn't the best rebounder or block shot.
Yeah, I forgot he played on Phoenix for a year. 2012-13. I forgot he played on Phoenix for a year there. But yeah, no, he had some good years there with Houston for sure. So that's a good pick there. That's who I had there at 7. 8. I'm gonna go with Matt Barnes. We believe team, competitive guy. He seemed to kind of hit some clutch threes. A little bit of, I think if we were doing this realistically, we're not saying yes, at the end of the day about we're going to win championships with him or something, but if he's in our starting lineup, but if he's coming off the bench for us, if I'm getting with the 8th pick overall in a 2000 in this draft, I'm not too disappointed with that. So I don't know. He had some good years. He played for just a ton of teams.
Everywhere he went, they seemed to win though. More than when they were there before.
Yeah, and I mean, I can always be grateful for those We Believe years. He was great on those teams for sure. And he was good on some of the Magic teams there too. And then he was good on some of the Lakers teams there for sure. So I'm going to go Matt Barnes with the 8th pick. So that's what I got. So who do you got, my friend?
I guess I'll take the man from Duke, the coach's son, Mike Dunleavy. There's not much good to say about him, but the rest of the draft class there isn't much either.
Yeah. I know. I'm going to be honest with the 0-2 draft. We probably should have just stopped it right there at Barnes, but we're going to be kind and we're going to go 4 more picks here overall.
So I guess I'll go Mike Dunleavy.
I think we already talked about his best moment on the Warriors.
Yeah, we've already talked about everything Mike deserves. He was
honestly, if you had to think about it, can you really think of one great moment he had in the Warriors?
Yeah, he ripped his shirt off.
No, I'm saying on a real basketball standpoint, can you think of one moment he had? Just so it stands out to you.
No.
I really can't either.
I think he might have hit a big 3, but now the Warriors don't go that way in the second half. So I don't know. No, I can't.
The only thing I can remember, it wasn't like a clutch job, but I just remember hitting some threes when I went to a Warriors-Suns game when they got Baron Davis. And he maybe hit 2 or 3 corner threes that game. I remember that being
he's turned the corner.
I thought maybe that was a big deal. I was like, oh, well, good. He can at least stand in the corner and hit threes. And that's basically what his career kind of, to be fair to him, turned out to kind of be in a sense. He did have some decent years. I thought he did play okay when he actually went to the Bulls.
Yeah.
Remember
With
he kind of
Derrick
like
Rose.
he kind
I
of
forgot he
started to
played on
play.
the Bulls.
Remember he kind of had some sneaky good kind of like clutch
Yeah.
moments there on the Bulls too. I was like, what the heck? And then he went to the Bucks and had a couple sneaky like clutch moments. I was like, what's going on with Mike here? I was like, he did like a. It's like all of a sudden he like got like the clutch gene there for like a couple seasons off the
I don't
thing there.
remember
So,
anything after Indiana.
yeah, no, he played there for a little
Like,
bit. The Chicago he played there. Yeah, he went from
yeah,
Indiana to
Chicago. I do
Milwaukee.
remember now that you bring it up.
Yeah, he went to Milwaukee after that. So that was funny. Yeah,
He
all
did
right,
help us. He did help us bring in
we believe.
Steven Jackson, and
Yes.
luckily they had a big malice in the palace to help bring down their value.
And Josh Powell in the trade right there.
Yeah. Big Murph, your favorite Troy Murphy. You love Troy Murphy.
And Al Harrington. Those are the guys that we wanted to bring in for sure. All right, I'm gonna go with on the next pick. I'm gonna go with Drew Gooden. That's who I actually had at number 9
8?
here. Number 9. So I'm gonna go with Drew Gooden. I mean, he did start on a team that made the 2007 finals. So I mean, right?
One of the worst finals rosters of all time.
I mean, Marajal was a starter, but he was one of LeBron's sidekicks there.
Williams.
He did.
Where
Yeah,
are you?
they did beat the Pistons in 07. So, so he was part of that.
I think,
so he did go. He's out of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Went to Kansas. I remember. I don't know why I remember this, but I remember Cal had scheduled a game versus Kansas, but then he left, and then it was like a game versus Kansas, and he wasn't even there. So, it's like supposed to be this big deal. It's like he left for the draft. So, all right. So I'm gonna go with Drew Gooden. So I'm not gonna waste too much more time on him. But who you got on the next one?
I'll take, I guess, Udonis Haslem. He seems to be a good team player. Everybody loves him, and we'll have a good locker room with Udonis. And he wasn't a scrub.
No, he had some solid years there with the Heat. I didn't have him on the list, but he's a solid player there on the list.
You didn't have him in your top 15?
I did not have him in the top 15. I did not.
Really? How did you find 15? You had Kareem Russ, but no Udonis? Udonis is the Miami Heat Hall of Famer.
I don't know why I didn't have him in there, I guess. I don't know. I didn't have him in there. Because he wasn't drafted. He was drafted in 03-04. That's why.
No.
Yes.
This is the 03 draft.
02.
Oh. He wasn't drafted?
No. He was drafted the next year.
How did I
all right,
come up with his name?
You get another pick. What a great moment.
No, he was drafted in this draft.
He was not drafted in this draft. Yeah.
Maybe he went undrafted, so he...
I don't think he was undrafted, was he? I think he was drafted. He was the 02, 03.
Yeah, he went undrafted in 02 draft.
All right, fine. So you're going undrafted.
And, yes, he was an undrafted. He was eligible in this draft. I went Udonis. I pulled a Casey Breyer.
All right, you go with the undrafted here. You go with the Casey spirit here. So, all right, Casey, if you're out there, you'll be proud. All right, so you go Haslem. All right, well, the thing I do remember about Haslem is that he would hit those he'd have like 8 points a game, like maybe 3 rebounds, and maybe hit like one clutch like jumper where you're just like it wouldn't even be like a clutch jumper in the sense of like, I mean, maybe it would be, but like for me, I always remember being like somebody's making like kind of a run and you hit a shot or something like that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like a game winner or something like
we
that.
Got
like,
another a momentum stopper. Oh, we got another bad shot from not the best shooter. Oh, he made it.
Oh, Shaq draws 5 defenders. You know, he's out. He's open for a 10-footer. You know, Wade drive. That's kind of what right there. So.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's a good pick. Actually, I probably should have took him over Gooden on that with that case right there. All right, Tyler. This is where me and you. What are we on the 12th pick right now? Okay, so we got one more left.
Yeah.
I got 2 left.
You have 2 more.
This is where the nitty gritty comes in. This is where me and you having the knowledge of basketball actually matters right now. So this is where I'm going to take a guy called, and I think only a few hardcore fans are going to know this guy, is John Salmon. So right now, so I'm going to take it right now. I remember him because he played for the Kings. I remember always kind of liking him off the bench as like a scorer.
He could always score. Man,
Yeah,
you
I remember.
you drafted a lot of Bulls.
I did. You're right. The Bulls did. The Bulls had actually kind of this weird thing. Remember, like those 2000 eras, they would draft these young guys and then just get rid of them like 4 years in because they were so damn young and they weren't very good.
Yeah.
They just
And then
kind of
they'd
like
get
mess
good
around.
somewhere else.
So I don't know. I kind of always liked it. I always kind of just liked him a little bit. I thought he was kind of a good player. I kind of like the years I liked him the most, probably because they were his local years, was when he was on the Kings for a few years there. So I don't know. That's the year. He did have one year. He did average 18 points a year. He did average that was his career high when he was on the Kings, was when he averaged 18 points. So, well, actually, yes, I take that back. He averaged 19 on Milwaukee 1 year. So he did he had a couple good years where he could score. So I'm gonna go with Salmons there. So Tyler,
Man, did he play with Dunleavy on the Bucks and the Bulls, or were they traded for each other?
I don't know about that. You're right. I don't know. That's a good question.
Two small forwards that are both average, like
the same, kind of type of team right there. No, they weren't on the same team there. Yeah, they might have got traded in the offseason, but that.
Yeah. Maybe.
All right. So Sam, so that's for deep hard. But yes, he was a good scorer if you watched the NBA back then, for sure. So all right, last pick. Who you going with? I'm curious who you go with here. I got three guys.
Dave Navarro's little brother, Jay Williams, and Juan Carlos Navarro, or Juan. Remember him, the Puerto Rican?
Yeah, but then you can't take him over.
No, I'm not taking him. I'm going to take Nirag Kristich.
I didn't even have on the list. I'm going to tell you who I have on the rest.
I'm going Kristich.
All right.
Another good mid-range jump shooter. Played for the Nets. I know. But you said we're taking talent.
Yes, okay, fine. I think I can name three guys with more talent here.
No. Man, I'd love to hear him.
All right, so you go ahead. Let's give a little spiel.
He was from the Nets. He played for the Nets with Jason Kidd, I think.
An ugly man.
He was had a huge nose, and he was. Oh, jeez. He was okay. He was average. He was your prototypical. He was your prototypical white big man.
As the ghost of Kristich, he's slapping me across the face. How dare you say I'm ugly?
I'm talking about my schnoz. Who are the three guys more talent? Jay Williams, maybe. I'll give you that.
All right, so I'm going to take
Kareem.
Just because of his dunk contest alone against Jason Richardson, and because of I just kind of thought he was pretty good because I liked those teams back then. I'm going to take Roger Mason Jr. And I always liked the Oklahoma State teams, too, that he played on in college. So I was always a big fan of his. So
was he on those Oklahoma State teams?
He was on the ones before. He was on some of those teams I used to watch. I used to watch a lot. I used to watch a lot of Big Monday back in those days.
No, that was the one that Arizona beat him. Salim hit a buzzer beater.
Yes. Do you remember back on the Big Monday days on ESPN? It was great. They'd have the 4:00 game. They'd have an ACC game at 4 or a Big Ten. Then they'd have a Big 12 game at 6:00. And then I'd have to sneak into my parents' room at 9:00 and watch a West Coast Conference game at 9:00. It'd be usually between Colorado State and BYU.
Stand up for Colorado State.
Yeah, but it was just the thrill of being able to get up. All right, I'm watching the game. I show my parents get I snuck it. I watched the game. So I remember those type of things like that.
So those were the days Bob was at the fire station.
Those were definitely the days that he was at the fire station.
But
anyway, yeah, no, for sure. My mom, I can get away with it once in a while there. So I love you, Mom, though, for that. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Roger Mason Jr. I gotta say,
he was a great dunker.
YouTube that Roger Mason Jr. versus Jason Richardson dunk contest. You gotta say, Tyler, I don't know if you've seen it in a while. That's definitely one of the more underrated dunk contests ever.
Oh, for sure. Both of Jason Richardson's.
But
did he have repeated or should he have?
No, he was in 3 in a row. But hey, you got to be realistic. If you saw that dunk contest over between those two guys, they do not get talked about enough with their dunks. They did in those ones right there. He has a left-handed windmill dunk with his left hand, Roger Mason, between the legs. If it wasn't for Jay Rich going between his legs backwards, he would have won the thing. So definitely, I'm going to go with him at 14. I also had just a couple shout-outs. I had Rashawn Butler on the list, too, because of his three-point shooting in the corners. You remember he got a lot of hype? I remember him in college at Maryland, Chris Wilcox.
Yeah.
He was on
I thought he
in
was
this
going to
draft.
be good in college, or when
And
he was in college.
So before we get out of here, I wanted to name a couple other guys before we get to this draft because it's kind of actually kind of a fun draft. Look at some of these names here. Deshaun Wagner, remember the hype?
Oh
that guy
God!
got?
Oh my God!
And then he went to
He
Memphis.
was the first John Calipari special.
Yes, he was. And then the best name of the draft, Skidishvili. He was in this one from Denver at the 5th pick overall. Nicholas Skidishvili.
Nicholas. Who was Jake? Jake.
I have no idea who Jake the Snake was there.
Jake
I don't know.
It was terrible.
And then a couple other guys on the list. He could have made the list too. Jared Jeffries. He was borderline here for me.
He was from
Indiana.
Indiana.
Yeah, and then there's always it was funny in this era too. I just want to point him out because we're in the state of California and they're only 4 hours from us. Fresno State. They would always produce these guys in the top 15. You knew they were somehow paid to
Jerry Tarkadian does his thing.
Who is it? Paul George. A couple other guys.
That's about it.
No, there was one other guy there that I got drafted.
There's a white.
He went to Dallas. I had his rookie card for a little bit. He went to court. It's Alexander or something like that. I'm not saying they turned out to be great players, but they've had a few that have been drafted there, and so he's one of them there. The Warriors pick in this one I also want to throw out was Yuri Welsh. They traded for him at 16. Was supposed to be an unreal white shooter. It was not at all. And then also the champion from the NCAA at that year was Juan Dixon. And then Adam Darish, if you're out there, I know you're watching this. Our favorite player back – because like I said, we were seniors this year. This is our favorite player. They made and I remember winning money because I had them going to the Elite Eight, and my pool was Missouri, Kareem Rush, going to some of the Missouri Tigers out there. So
he was the first time I ever heard – he was the first guy ever.
He had a Missouri hat, Adam. I remember that Missouri hat with the fro. You had the fro, and you pouched the little Missouri hat right on top.
You're looking real Jewish.
I like that.
But no, I remember Kareem Rush. The first time I heard an announcer go, "He's a flamethrower." I was like, "What a flamethrower!"
Well, he kind of a cool shot too. Remember that? He kind of a slingshot.
Oh yeah, it was like Michael Redd almost.
Yeah, so I just remember they had that crazy run to the Elite Eight.
And then he had a good cousin who helped the Warriors win a championship, and Brandon Rush.
There was a lot of teams, and there was a lot of players in this draft. I knew Casey Jacobson was in here, and Dan Dickow.
Oh my God, Dan Dickow, another really froey white man.
I also want to point out a couple other guys that I kind of thought were fun names. Dan Gadzarich from UCLA.
Oh God, you're bringing up names of bums. Name a name, and I'll get the college.
All right, let's see if I can name a name. You can grab the college here. All right, if he gets it, let's see. Here we go. Tyler gets the college, which I do 10 push-ups or something. All right. Let's see. How about Jamal Sampson?
Well, Oklahoma. I have no idea.
California.
I've never even heard that name.
California.
Jamal Sampson.
All right, we won't go with that, man. All right, Fred Jones.
Oregon.
There you go. Very nice. Very good.
Yeah, all right. Good. I'm good. I'm done.
You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Yeah, you're good. You did it. You got him. All right, man. That was fun doing that draft with you. It wasn't a great draft. It was kind of fun looking back at some of those names, especially because I was in our prime years of looking back at it.
Yeah. I can't wait for the next one.
Casey, we're looking forward for you the 03 draft. Bring the knowledge for us. LeBron, Wade, Anthony, Bosch. Deep draft. Should be fun. We'll see you guys on the next one. Later, T.
There we go. Later, man. Like